Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be doing a review on these Triumph United Heatseeker boxing gloves, so stay tuned. Okay guys, so today we have the Triumph United Heatseeker 2.0 retro gloves. We'll do a close-up weigh-in and review on. And when I say retro, these have been re-released. These are the original Heatseekers from about 10 years ago that a lot of people really loved. And they were kind of the very first of the winning inspired gloves, if you want to call them clones, that came out that did a really good job of, I wouldn't say exactly replicating winning gloves, but having a very similar feel to them. So after that, we saw a whole bunch of different other glove companies come out with their iteration of a winning style glove, like Ring to Cage with the C17, and then Punch Equipment came out with the Forte. So there's been several companies that have done it, but I think Triumph was probably one of the very first, if not the first, that did it. So it's full genuine leather construction. These are made in Pakistan, I believe. It has a logo on the back that says Triumph United. You have a double layered padded cuff with the rubberized logo on the back of the cuff. You have about a ½ inch of padding, I'd say on both the inside and the outside of the wrist with that rubberized patch. Double stitching throughout, large grip bar that's nice and firm, so 16 ounces with a black piping around the thumb. Nice long laces, and it says Triumph United vertically on the outside of the wrist with the leather attached thumb. Multi-layer foam padding. Now I know winning usually gets kind of the reputation as being pillows. And I'd say that these are around the same level as far as density goes. They're right in the middle. They're not overly dense, like rock solid, like a molded foam type glove. And they're not super soft to where you feel like your knuckles just push right through the foam. So a good layer of foam that keeps it nice and comfortable, yet protective. So there you have it. Those are the gloves next to each other. Let's go ahead and put these on the scale, see how much they weigh. And let's go ahead and start with the right glove. The right glove is right at 15.2. And the left glove is right at 14.8. So they're about an ounce underweight, and they're not exactly on weight, but not too shabby for a pair of training gloves. So let's go ahead and do the review. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here, and today I'm going to be doing a review on these Triumph United Heatseeker boxing gloves. Got mine in the red color, 16 ounce lace up. You can also get it in black. You can also get it in Velcro closure, as well as anywhere between 8 to 16 ounces. These gloves were originally released maybe about 10 to 11 years ago. Just kind of give you guys a little bit of history on these Heatseekers by Triumph United. It was probably one of their most popular gloves, if not their most popular glove at the time. And they were discontinued after that, and then several years went by. They had, you know, the Death Stars, the Death Adders, and they had a bunch of other gloves that came out. And then just last year they came out with their Bushido gloves, which I thought originally were supposed to be like the successor to the Heatseekers, but I just think a lot of people wanted the Heatseekers back again, and here you have it. So these are kind of like a retro version of the originals. And at the time, 10 years ago, back in 2009, 2010, you couldn't really find gloves that really replicated winning gloves without actually spending $300 to $400 and buying some genuine pair of winnings. So when these came out, they were pretty close to winnings in terms of feel and just the protection. Obviously, they're not exactly the same, but there's a lot of similarities with these, and that's what made them really popular at the time. I can't really remember how much they went for back in those days, maybe about like $100, but nonetheless, here we are today, and we have these. So you can see that it has a medium size profile. It's not a huge glove. It's not super compact. It's right in the middle. Would make for a great training glove. So whether you're using it for the bags, sparring, doing some mitt work, you can really do everything with this glove. Full genuine leather construction with multi-layer foam. I believe that this glove is made in Pakistan. You do have the Triumph United logo on the back of the glove. It's pretty kind of an OG retro look that Triumph United uses on the original Heatseeker. You have that double padded cuff with the rubberized Triumph United patch on the back, which I really like. I like these rubberized cuffs because they're usually a little bit softer, and they just have a little bit more of a classier and more I guess you want to say more of a expensive feel to them rather than those cloth patches that usually fray. The inside liner is that tricot style microfiber liner that's really nice and comfortable, doesn't bunch up. You have about a 1/2 inch of padding on both the back of the wrist as well as the inside of the wrist. Nice long laces, double stitching in white. You also have a black piping that goes around the thumb, a leather attached thumb, and this grip bar is nice and big as well. You can see it's a really firm grip bar as well, so that's really good. And then you also have that Triumph United that's written vertically on the outside of the wrist. But overall, a really cool looking glove, not overly done, and has that classic logo that I really like. Now the quality of gloves are actually really nice. I mean, the leather on here has more of a kind of, I guess you want to call it like an eggshell. I always use kind of paint references for sheen, but I would say that this is kind of like an eggshell. It's not super shiny and it's not matte. So there's a little bit of a sheen to it, but I definitely like the finish on there. And you can see that obviously the striking surface, I've been using it, so there's some wrinkles on here, which is normal for gloves. But the quality is really good. I mean, the stitching looks pretty good, especially where the thumb meets the index finger, or the seam between the thumb and the back of the glove looks really clean. The hinge point looks really good right there. Stitching is done really nicely. No bubbling with any foam. Leather has no inconsistencies with it. Padding on the back of the cuff feels really good. And the inside of the wrist is done really nicely. You can see the padding goes up to right about here, and then it kind of comes to an end right there. And then on this side, right where the stitching is at, to kind of keep that contained. Piping looks good. You can see it's a little dirty right there, but that's just for me using the gloves. And there's some stitching that looks good. Leather is tucked in nicely in the fingertip area, which is done really good. On the edges, looks really clean. And overall, just a really nicely built glove. Couldn't really find any flaws with this glove, to be honest with you. So looks really good. Yeah, I guess if you wanted to really nitpick, you could say that the stitching alignment's maybe a little bit off right there between these two right there. I mean, that's really being nitpicky. That doesn't affect the performance of the glove. It's just something if you really wanted to be critical on it. But the stitching on the grip bar looks good. I'd say that the glove is pretty well balanced. It's not too top heavy, so you can see there. And the only thing I would say quality wise is the weight being off. I'd say these gloves are about an ounce under their advertised weight of being 16 ounces. So, and they're not exactly the same weight, the left and the right glove. I think they're about like 0.4 ounces difference. But again, like I always say with training gloves, I'm not a huge, critic when it comes to weight, unless it's like dramatically off. I know a lot of Mexican style gloves tend to be a lot heavier. But again, I mean, when you're training and you're using these gloves for sparring and all that, that's really negligent. Weight only really comes into play and is a huge factor when you're using fight gloves or you're using them for a sanctioned bout. So there you have it. So comfort-wise, sliding my hand in here, these are super comfortable. One thing I love about these gloves is a nice deep hand compartment. Your fingers are in perfect position to create a fist. They did a really nice job of putting a nice thick layer of neoprene inside the finger compartment all the way from here. So your fingers aren't just pushing against the bare leather on the inside. There's actually a piece of neoprene that lines that. So when your finger's in there, and almost kind of, the more you use it, it gets used to your own fingerprint. So your finger is almost like it's almost like a memory foam where your fingers kind of settle into that piece of neoprene, and it kind of creates an impression to your own hand. The grip bar is really nice. You can really feel that grip bar, which I love. Thumb feels excellent, nice and parallel, doesn't jam at the top. Good amount of cushioning on the back. I'd say about 3/4 of an inch of nice firm padding on here, but not rock solid, but good enough to protect your thumb. Good wrist support when everything is nicely locked down. So I definitely like the wrist support, and it feels really good. I love the ergonomics of the glove, and it has a real nice fit to it. I'd say that these are a little bit, I wouldn't say looser, but a little roomier than Winning. They're not as snug and tight, which is sometimes a good thing, because I know some people have longer fingers or just bigger hands in general, and it causes them a little bit of discomfort. Now, one thing I did notice, compared to Winning, this will definitely take a little bit more of a breaking in period. It's a little bit on the harder side to really open your hand up, which you will eventually. You just really have to work these gloves in. So whether it's sparring, using them on the bag, just the more you use these gloves, that leather will become a little bit more pliable, and it'll break in a little bit more. So there's definitely a break-in period with these gloves. You can't just open your palm up right away like you can with some gloves. Not to say that that's not a bad thing or anything. It's just something that you got to get used to with these gloves, the break-in period. Protection and performance, these are great. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think these are my favorite Triumph United glove. I've tried the Death Adders. I had a pair of Death Stars. I never did a review on them, but they were pretty good gloves as well. Obviously, I have the Bushidos I did a review on, which were okay. I wasn't a huge fan of those. Solid gloves, but not their best product. And I honestly think this is their best glove that I've used to this date, just because it's really comfortable, construction is real nice, and of course that multi-layer foam padding. So you have a good blend of protection and performance with this glove, and you can really see that's kind of like what Triumph United was trying to achieve, is kind of going into the gym with just one pair of gloves that you can use for really everything. So, you know, you get good protection on the heavy bag. You know, if the heavy bag is a denser one like this nozzle one, or if you have a soft filled bag that has more give when you hit it, you get good feedback, good protection with this. And for sparring, they're great because they're not overly stiff and won't hurt your sparring partner, but not overly too soft either to where your knuckles really punch through, and it's more of like a puncher style glove. So definitely a well-balanced glove for sure. Cost-wise, these are $149, which is right there. I think it's a little bit high. The reason I say that is because there's a lot of gloves now that are, compared to 10 years ago when these heat seekers were out, there's really nothing like them at the time. But now, fast forward 10 years, 2020, we have a lot of, the glove market is so saturated and really competitive. So $149 it's not a bad price. It's definitely on the higher side, 150 bucks, because now you're starting to look at people that are going to get into like Reyes. Not to say Reyes is the same glove, but you have gloves like Ring to KC17, which are I think like 99 to 120 bucks, just depending on the colors. You have the Superior glove, so you're getting to a market that's a lot hotter now than it was 10 years ago. Still not a bad price. If I were to do it all over again, I'd probably use like a discount code. If I can get it down to like 120, then definitely well worth it. They're not bad gloves by any means. They're great gloves. Again, they're probably Triumph United's best gloves that at least I have tried so far, and I really love them. I mean, they perform really well. Great padding, good protection, good comfort, nice hand compartment. You can really make a nice tight fist with these. So overall, really great gloves. So if you guys have any questions or comments, as usual, just put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these gloves. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.